Hello, everybody. Welcome to my stream. So, I just decided, I'm in quarantine and I'm sick as hell, but I decided I had to do this, so I have to test this out. So I installed a new operating system on my main machine, which is my Digital Storm machine. I installed Arch Linux on there and Windows 10, which is actually what it had before. Kind of a long, crazy story, but I just wanted to make sure that I'm still able to stream in Linux because I have a lot of stuff that I want to do. I'm going to do another one of these tests from Windows also. But this is a brand new Linux install. Just got it installed today. Just got it up and running. I want to make sure that everything's running great. So right now I can see that my audio seems to be pretty good. Got audio playing. Checking, it looks like I am live on Twitch and YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter. So that was one of my main concerns. So I guess I could show you around my new Linux system here. So basically what happened was, here's the reason I decided to do this. I've been putting this off for a long time, but since I'm sick and I'm under quarantine, got a little bit of time on my hands this weekend, now's the time to do it. So what I did was, I have a 1 terabyte drive. So I have this big Digital Storm workstation that I bought in 2019. Incredibly fast, incredibly amazing machine. But it had a 1 terabyte drive in it, NVMe, super fast. So I split that in half and I did Windows 10 install on one of them. It created a 100 meg EFI boot drive. Then I created an Arch Linux machine. I didn't think about that boot drive, that EFI drive at all. Set up everything as GPT and just ran it dual boot forever. But then I started doing updates and upgrades, and I built a kernel, built a couple kernels, swapped them out. Anyway, I ran out of room on that 100 meg drive. So one of the things, it completely crashed Arch Linux, by the way, which is fine because they tell you should use a 500 meg or bigger boot drive. I didn't know that or think about that when I first installed everything. So I was able to expand that partition a little bit to 123 megs so I could at least boot into Linux and get the things I wanted out of there, but I couldn't leave it that way, right? So I bought another 2 terabyte drive, NVMe, and what I ended up doing was I took the 1 terabyte, deleted the old Arch Linux out of there, expanded it to 1 terabyte completely to Windows, and I took the 2 terabyte, put Arch Linux on it, and that's what we're looking at right here. That's what I'm using right now. And I was going to try to do 1 terabyte, so I have a 2 terabyte drive, right? I was going to try to do 1 terabyte with Windows 10 and 1 with Arch Linux and boot them. It just turned out to be a nightmare. I finally figured out how to get that 500 meg boot drive thing to work and Windows to recognize it and install it. And then Arch Linux didn't really want to work properly when I installed it post 1 terabyte. So in a 2 terabyte drive, go past that 1 terabyte, things get messy. I decided to quit investing time in it, so I just used 2 separate drives. So now when I boot up, if I press F11 for BIOS, I can choose Windows or I can choose Arch. Fine, all's good with the world. That's great. So I just want to make sure that this is working. So let's see here. Boom. Okay, here's my desktop. And I didn't even think to, let's see, a dock here for chat. I didn't even think to bring up chat. I'll bring that up. Yeah, looks like everything's working pretty fairly well. So restream, bring up the restream chat in case any of you fine folks want to chat with me. I know most people watch these streams after words, but that's fine. There's my chat window. Okay. So one of the things I wanted to do was write an article about what I'm doing right now, which is streaming. So I wanted to write an article about how to set up OBS in Arch Linux. It's a little tricky. So you can just do a regular OBS install certain things don't work. Like if you look right above my head up here, there's a chat window that's run by a browser. That doesn't work in the normal OBS install. So I found an OBS that I like. I'll bring it up here. It's the OBS Studio browser. So it has that little browser ad in it. Anyway, this one does everything I need it to do as far as streaming, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to install. So as I was installing it, I thought, well, now's time to write an article about it, right? Because if I'm having trouble with it, other people are having trouble with it, and I've got it figured out, so might as well share it. So this one's the OBS Studio browser in the Arch Linux user repository. There's several different ones, like you can see OBS Linux browser. That one's very similar, but it didn't work for me it didn't put in that chat window that I needed. A couple other ones didn't have audio streaming the way I liked it. So it's just kind of personal choice, I guess. So I'm going to go in here and let's see. I'm going to add a blog to jeremymorgan.com. I think what I'm looking for is blog Linux. So I got Hugo installed on here, as you can see. Ta-da! There's my local version. Actually, I can just click this, and let's see what I usually put Arch Linux articles in. Tutorials Linux, Tutorials Linux, Tutorials Linux. Okay, so I'll just do Tutorials Linux. And I will start working on this article live. It's very short and sweet, so it's not really a very complex maneuver. Control C to stop my Hugo server, and I'm going to say Hugo new. Whoops, Tutorials Linux. And I'm going to name this How to Install OBS Arch Linux.md. And I'll do Hugo serve -D. That way I can serve draft articles, which is what this will be. Let's check out my local server here. It should show it. Oh, there we go. It's not showing a title. Let's see what's up with that. That's kind of weird. So content, tutorials, I see it there, Linux. Install OBS. Oh, okay. You can see that I need to rename this. I fat fingered the typing. So how to install OBS Arch Linux. There we go. So how to install OBS Studio in Arch Linux. And I like to keep, I have a different title than headline. So title is what goes across the top in my blog articles. Headline is what you see in the article. So I like the title to be a little bit different. And here, put a little verb on there, installing OBS. Just change it up a little bit. So it's still a draft. This tutorial will show you how to install OBS Studio in Arch Linux for streaming. And the image is going to be my open graph image, which I'll create. Category, I'll just kind of look at some of the other tutorials here. Tutorials, Arch Linux, Linux. That works. So I'll just grab these categories. Throw that in there. I'll put hi. And then we'll look at the article here. Installing OBS Studio in Arch Linux. Click on it. Hi. Cool. Rock and roll. All right. So I have this written out mostly in here. I just kind of took notes as I went. My throat's terrible. So we'll do a little intro here. If you would be like be a cool Linux streamer like me, I'll just put something kind of fun in there. Here's your chance. And I think I put, yeah. I did put the URL in there, so. Now I know there are other types, so let's Google those really quick. OBS and Linux. There we go. Install instructions. They have Arch. You can do sudo pacman. Can. Oh, I just copied that. Install OBS Pacman. I think that's perfect. So for the install, we're going to say install dependencies. So first you want to make a source directory. And I've got the code there, make source cd source. I could probably do this a little faster, huh? And these are just dependencies I copied out of here. Okay, and then I have steps to install VLC Luigit. I don't even know how to say that actually. Then we install all the dependencies for that. Then we have make package -I. Let's put a little note in here. Let's see. All right, just. Okay. Dependencies. You can type in make package SSI to install dependencies automatically. I generally don't like to do that, so that's why I put that in there. And then we have installing CEF minimal. Great, now we're ready to install OBS. Use wget. Archive. Now, let's install it. Conclusion, ta-da, you're ready to go. Let's see what this looks like so far. So now we go and say I'm using the OBS Studio version. Needs to be built. Built and installed. Just make that a little more clear. Okay. You would like to be a cool Linux streamer like me? Here's your chance. This tutorial will show you how to install this. Okay, I've got an extra return after that, it looks like. For this version, you'll need all of these things. I've thought about linking them, but there's no sense. Nobody really cares. So then we'll install VLC Luagit. I don't even know how to say it. Then minimal. Then installing OBS Studio. So all we need to do is put images in here. And I do have some images created for this purpose. OBS Arch Linux. So I've got a couple like this one. And this one. So I can drop those in, put that in, and it'll be ready to go. Anyway, this is pretty short and sweet. Interestingly, just kind of watching everything. So this is kind of a short and sweet thing. I just wanted to test and make sure this streaming setup is working. I'm going to be doing some streaming on the Pluralsight official Twitch page soon, so be sure to visit it. I'll bring it up for you right here. Twitch.tv/Pluralsight official, especially if you like my Linux stuff, because I think the Linux stuff is what I'm going to do. Here is the Pluralsight official page. On here, you'll see Bit Battles week 1 and 2. So Bit Battles is a really cool thing that we did with Pluralsight, where we had two technologists kind of argue one side or another over a particular topic. So we had automation one week where they said automation's good, automation's bad. These two went back and forth, really fun. Then week 2 was no code. You know, is no code good or no code bad? And we are going to be doing AI this week on Wednesday. So be sure and tune in and follow the Pluralsight_official channel, because I'll be streaming on there. I'm going to do some Linux streams, and I think I'm going to do some Blazor streams on there. But I'm also going to get Pluralsight folks, you know, some Pluralsight authors and experts to come in and stream and do cool stuff. I do have one person that's reached out to me that wants to do some really fun gaming stuff possibly. So yeah, you'll want to check that out for sure. And it's Pluralsight_official. Follow them. It'll be awesome. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching my test stream.